And of course, I would also like to convey our warmest welcome to the attendees from all universities all around Indonesia joining us today. Thank you very much, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, to kickstart our meeting today, I would like to invite Professor Iskandar to deliver some words before we start our agenda. So, Prof. Iskandar, please, the time is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Nada. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat pagi, good morning, and good afternoon to our US colleague, Pak Jack Hosia. And then the Honorable Bapak Rahmat Sriwijaya is Director of ISMA from our ministry. Dear colleagues from Indonesian University and also our staff from IPB, International Office, as well as Office for Student Affairs. Yeah. First of all, I would like to mention that ISMA is one of the flagship projects from our, let's say, Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka program, or we call it Emancipated Learning Program, yeah, as a main policy of our minister. So last year it seemed we are piloting and it was successful despite the pandemic, yeah. Although not all can go abroad, but most of the students finally can take the program, and we heard from our report from our students' experiences also very good program. And this morning meeting is a good opportunity for knowing more. One of the ISMA partner from US, UC Davis, which is of course a top-ranked university and well-known for diverse subjects of courses to be offered to our students. And we hope that this meeting can give more knowledge about the program we offer from UC Davis. So we welcome for all participants, yeah, to make a contact either personally later on and also during the meeting. So without further ado, I would like to officially open this, let's say, media meeting, not small meeting, with around 50 participants, and hope for productive session. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Iskandar, for the welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Dr. Rahmat Sriwijaya to deliver some opening speech also from ISMA.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Nada. Good morning for our colleagues in Indonesia, and good evening for our colleague from UC Davis, Pak Jack. Apa kabar Pak Jack? Ketemu lagi. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thanks to Pak Iskandar Siregar for his opportunity for us to set up the Zoom meeting this morning, or the evening in UC Davis. This meeting is a part of the ISMA strategy. That's not only for give the experience for the student to go abroad, but also for the institution, the International Relations Office in Indonesia, have partnered with our international partner like UC Davis. So, Pak Jack, you in the morning will have partner colleague from Indonesia around 50 university join this Zoom meeting. So I think with your 2-hour discussion, you will can explore and also give information about your university to Indonesian university this morning. Of course, this today only 2 hours, so very short time for discussion. But after this meeting, I believe that the University in Indonesia will contact UC Davis for the next step for the discussion. So, Pak Dev, please give the information about the opportunity to open the collaboration, not only student mobility, but also for research, join degree, professorship, and other collaboration that you can offer to the University in Indonesia. So thank you, Pak Dase, for manage this morning meeting. Pak Dase, so I hope after this meeting, so we will have the strong strategy by Indonesian University to join this collaboration with UC Davis. But I think another university also is from US can join this program. Pak Jake, so we will have a parallel meeting, 38 parallel meeting. So I think it's very interesting for this year meeting. But I believe after this internship program and also the meeting, so we will find the best strategy how to collaborate to increase the collaboration between Indonesian University and US University, especially UC Davis. Okay, thank you, Pak Iskandar, Pak Dase, Pak Jake, for this morning Zoom meeting. Pak Dase, so you lead this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Rahmat, for the opening speech. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the main agenda, I would like to invite Dr. Dase Hunaefi to deliver an opening remark regarding potential collaboration between Indonesian universities and UC Davis. So please, Pak Dase, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. I would hold I would not hold for the long time. I would like to say thank you to Pak Jack. Yeah, we call it Pa or Mister. So to make it easier and to make it very friendly, just we call it Pak Jack. Perhaps that would be better. I said that much because it's already late evening or almost the time for sleep, perhaps in California. But we ask you to join with us together. So thank you also to all my colleagues in Indonesia from all universities in Indonesia, from Sabang to Merauke, from there are from many universities in Indonesia. So I would like to just make a remark for this discussion. As mentioned, that we know that University of California, Davis is one of the best for agriculture and forestry. Always number one, number two, I think in the world, beating also Wageningen University of Research. So this kind of head-to-head, yeah, with Wageningen University, especially for agriculture and forestry. So since 2020, we collaborate. Since 2020, and before that, we IPB has already collaborations with has collaborated with UC Davis, and we also apply actually our students to ISMA for UC Davis because this is one of our dream university to get into University California Davis experience. Unfortunately, our student has beat by the other Indonesian student. So a little bit complaint to ISMA committee. Perhaps we bring UC Davis to ISMA, but our student kick out by the ISMA because of very, very competitive. So it is only the best who join the ISMA. So for nowadays, so we will compete also to have a place for ISMA in University California Davis. So as mentioned, now is a remark for the potential collaborations between Indonesian university. We have already gathered some of the information, and perhaps Jacob, there are some initial additional with this joint research and supervisions that I have not sharing with you before. So this one, the remark potential collaborations Indonesian university with UC Davis. The first inspiration, but it is by ISMA. So perhaps most of the university in Indonesia also wants to do a student exchange with UC Davis. Can be funded, for example, by the student itself to join exchange directly or by the each Indonesian university, for example. When BINUS or perhaps Gajah Mada or IPB LSEP want to do an exchange directly, similar like ISMA can be follow up as well. The second, as mentioned, one of our target, especially for IPB University, is to have a double degree or dual degree with UC Davis. As mentioned, that UC Davis always number 1 or number 2 for agriculture or forestry. And the third is some courses and training over by UC Davis, perhaps can collaborate together with us, all Indonesian university. And perhaps there are some online courses offered by UC Davis that can our students also access to it. And number 5 is potential to make it easier collaboration with all Indonesian university and UC Davis. It can be also facilitated by IPB University or perhaps by DIKTI or by Ministry of Education or by ISMA committee. It would be better perhaps by Indonesian's Ministry of Education to have one potential consortium for gathering all Indonesian university connected with UC Davis. And the last, this is the additional point, as I mentioned, just coming out from our director, that perhaps it would be good to have a joint research and supervisions together with UC Davis. So this is the proposal, and later, whenever there is a new proposal from each university that attended here, please drop up 1 or 2 slide proposed collaboration with UC Davis, and can head-to-head also you to you and detailed contact in the attendance form. It can be also whenever possible in the chat, but sometimes it's distract the others. So I would encourage the representative from each university to drop a proposed collaboration with UC Davis in the detailed contact, and Pajek later will be follow up. And perhaps when Pajek wouldn't mind also to put the email address on the chat box here in the Zoom meeting. So that's our proposal for today's meeting. Our target, as mentioned, not only strengthening the collaboration between IPB University and UC Davis, but also offering to have more collaborations with other universities in Indonesia. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Mbak Nada and Pak Rahmat as a director of ISMA. As mentioned, for ISMA later, we do hope that 1 or 2 IPB students can join ISMA in UC Davis, because last time most of our students got kicked out by ISMA because of very competitive in ISMA. Only the best who can get the ISMA award. So thank you very much, and we'll get back to Banada.
Okay, thank you very much, Padasa, for the remark. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving on to the main agenda, which is the presentation from UC Davis by Pak Jake. So please, Pak Jake, the time is yours.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, to you, Nada, and to my honorable colleagues at IPB for organizing this event. And of course, to my, I feel now dear friend, Dr. Jawa, for all of your support working with the ISMA program and supporting the collaborations between UC Davis and the different institutions in Indonesia. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I should say just off the bat, it is not too late, but it is around the time that my kids go to bed. So if they start screaming a little too loudly, please, you've been warned, and we'll get it taken care of, no problem. So let me just pull up my presentation here, and we'll get ready to share. It's a delight to be here and to see so many institutions who are joining us. So, okay, I'm gonna share through a, this format. Is okay? Is this viewing correctly for everyone? Yeah. Okay. Great. So, so today, really what we're hoping to do, what I'm hoping to do is just to share with you a little bit about international engagement at UC Davis, so that you can get to know us and how we work with our partners overseas, To do that, I'll be talking a little bit about the institution in general. I'll share some of our profile information and then really try pretty quickly to get to the meat of the conversation, the different ways that we can collaborate through study abroad programs, short courses, dual degrees. We'll talk about joint research as well. I'll be sure to add this in, and then talk a little bit about next steps and how we go about establishing collaboration. Just by way of background, I myself have been working at UC Davis in this area, working directly with partners from overseas to develop study and research programs for about 10 years. Previous to that was also at UC Davis, but primarily working in outbound study abroad programs. So lots of experience here sending our students overseas and now getting to work with partners here to receive students. I did my undergraduate study at UC Davis, so I'm actually alum of the university. Left for graduate school and then came back and have been working there ever since. So, you know, I'll talk about ISMA in just a second in the program we've had. Let me talk a little bit about UC Davis to give some context. So UC Davis is, as I'm sure you know, a very large, comprehensive research university. As my colleague, Dr. Dase, referred to, very strong, particularly in agriculture and forestry. Every year, really going back and forth with the University of Wageningen for that #1 title in the world, and they beat us again last year. So we were very upset with them. But you know, it's a friendly competition, right? But there are some things about UC Davis that many people don't know. And I should just start by talking about its location within the state of California. So California, you know, very large state. It's a vertical state that runs, you know, well over 13 hours north to south. And UC Davis is the northernmost of the University of California institutions. It's set right near our state capital, Sacramento, and about an hour and a half drive down to the San Francisco Bay Area. The university is set in the middle of agricultural land. And one of the things, and in fact, the kind of history of the university, it was developed as an agricultural university for the purpose of training the farmers who would feed the state and eventually the country and onward the world. This is a heritage that remains with us. It's one that we're very, very proud of. Most of California's most successful agricultural endeavors can be traced to work that started at UC Davis, whether we think about the wine industry, the California orchards, rice fields, every different agricultural sector really touched by our institution. We're very proud of that. But we're even more proud of having transitioned to being a comprehensive university, teach well over 100 different academic majors and 100 different graduate degrees. So this makes us the most comprehensive of all of the University of California schools. Large campus, at least by American standards. It's considered a very large university, nearly 40,000 students participating at the undergraduate, graduate, professional levels. And then I think this figure is old, but we're close to 300,000 alumni worldwide now. So very big network of UC Davis folks. And then, of course, a very large active research programs going on that attract a lot of money, usually among the top 10 public US universities in terms of research funding. So let's look just briefly at a few of the things you should know about the campus. As I mentioned, it's comprehensive. This means that we have 4 full colleges studying in fields as diverse as agriculture and environmental sciences, biological sciences, engineering, and then finally letters and science. Professional schools, so this is our postgraduate education here, takes place in the fields of education, of course, management, law, nursing, veterinary medicine, which is another top-ranked program worldwide, and then, of course, nursing. And then we have lifelong or continuing education as well to train professional students, workers in the information and technology that they need to continue to be really effective in the workforce. One of the things that we're very proud of at UC Davis is the real intellectual strength of the university, right? Being a research university, one of the things, if one of you were to get a chance to come visit here, that you would notice about our institution is that, UC Davis, it's set within a very small town. So when you imagine maybe 40,000 people associated with the university as students within a city of only 70,000 people. So this is a very tiny town and a huge university. And so the joke is that here at UC Davis, there's not much more to do than to study and to do research. And so if that's what you're interested in, you're going to have a lovely time here. And then that's true in terms of when you look at rankings and other things like that. We like to say that we do not let our faculty get too distracted. We keep them very nice and comfortable, green environment so that they can research and still enjoy their life. So Davis, a recent ranking, one that we're very proud of, and that I think speaks to one of the reasons we're so interested in collaboration with Indonesian institutions, is the focus that we have on internationalization, on globalizing our campus, and recently ranked among the first in the nation in the United States for internationalization efforts and sustainability efforts. We're quite proud of that recent ranking. Of course, second in the world for veterinary science, agricultural forestry. But what I like about the institution, I mentioned it's comprehensive. There are some real surprising strengths here. So we are ranked in the 15th in the nation in fine arts. Many people don't know that about our campus, and 25th nationally in political science. So even though we have a strong reputation in agriculture, environmental studies, engineering, the university works hard to be balanced and comprehensive so that our students don't come out with a kind of a lopsided education, but instead are very well-rounded and able to really contribute to society. One of the things I thought that I would highlight that I think is fairly unique about our campus here, UC Davis approaches problems of the world, and I should say that's actually the mission of our institution. When the university was founded, it was founded with land that was provided by the state. And the state recognized that there were many problems facing our region and our state, our globe, and that in order to solve them, we really needed some very bright people to work on them. And so the state gave the land to the university and in return said, please solve the problems that are facing our state. And so we tried to do that. And we recognize that the problems that face our world are not singular problems. We don't have a problem that just, say, affects us here in Davis and yet somehow doesn't touch you in Indonesia. Not anymore. The problems have grown, and the last few years have really proven that to be very true, I think. So one of the things that we do is we draw together specialists from various disciplines to work together on different types of problems. So for example, when you think about something like neuroscience, in many areas, neuroscience, in many institutions, neuroscience is only approached from a very technical and physical perspective, thinking about the health of the brain, really very technical. At UC Davis, of course, we have this, but we also approach neuro or brain issues from a social science perspective, drawing in specialists who look at cognitive science, the understanding how people interact and how our brains affect our interactions with others, and then also drawing in people who work with the Mind Institute, which is a specialty of neurodevelopmental disorders, things like autism and issues like this. And we draw all these people together, recognizing that you can't just treat a single problem, but problems spread. And so whether it's in health, it's our approach to the environment, whatever the different issue is we're trying to solve, we're always trying to draw together people from different backgrounds to solve that problem because we think that we can do it better if we do it that way. Let me just move on here to the next page. When we think about kind of international engagement at UC Davis, I mean, first and foremost, I think you already know, this is really important to us. Nearly half of our faculty on campus are involved in international activities at some point in their career. I think the latest number is nearly 40% of our faculty received at least a part of their education overseas. So we really recruit heavily from abroad. We send a large number of students to study and conduct internships abroad ourselves, nearly 2,000. We host about 8,000 international degree-seeking students on campus, and then hundreds more visiting students. Of course, lots of international scholars. And we're constantly building new models for international collaboration. So that's what we're really going to want to talk about today. So let me just scoot on and we'll talk about the types of collaborative programs that we are building with our partners right now. And I should say, even though the pandemic has been a very challenging time for international education, ISMA and the commitment that you have demonstrated to the importance of study abroad has truly been inspirational for us. This has been a very difficult time, and I just want to make sure to recognize and honor the hard work that took place on your side to develop such a successful study abroad program. No other national government did what you did. I'm so impressed. I've worked in this field receiving students from over 20 different countries, right, for a long time. Never have I seen a country so focused and to have the right people at the right time to make a program of this complexity occur with so many challenges going on in the world. So I truly hope you feel very, very proud of yourselves. And I should say that your students, at least on our campus, really did you proud. So we hosted 17 students through the ISMA program this past fall. Those students were outstanding. They were some of the top performers that we had academically. They were some of the top performers that we had in terms of their social interaction, their willingness to get out, make new friends, figure out how to do that, and then also to demonstrate sort of Indonesian culture and spirit on our campus. It's just was a phenomenal program. I could spend all evening talking about that. I'm not going to, but I should just say it was delightful to work with the students on that program. And the only disappointment that we had was not being able to host one of the IPB students. So I do hope that we're able to fix that in the future as well. So what do we do when we at UC Davis collaborate with institutions abroad? We do all sorts of things. I should start by saying I'm going to present a pretty narrow focus. And by that, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about staff or staff-related exchange, which we do. And I'm also not going to talk too much about these sort of a large international joint research programs. We do a wide number of those. I'm not going to talk about those. I'll mostly talk about student-related issues, but I'll also talk a little bit about some joint research possibilities as well at the end. So what do we do when we're working with students and we're working with partners? By far, actually, the most common type of engagement that we have when we think about collaboration are the visiting student programs that function quite like the ISMA program functioned this past year. So we currently work with about 60 different universities from 18 or 19 countries to receive students to study on our campus in all different undergraduate areas, from business to medical science, from business to biology to engineering, environmental studies, anything that they could really want to do, we welcome them. One of the things that's unique about UC Davis in this way is that our visiting student programs, we only open to partner institutions. Many universities will allow, really anyone who wants a chance to come study, take a class, interact, the chance to do that. At UC Davis, we limit that internationally really to our partner institutions, recognizing that what we want are long-term sustainable collaborations between institutions that draw our faculty and our students close together. And so if we dilute our visiting students too much, then it prevents that from happening. And so instead we focus on partners. The visiting student programs that we run, we operate on a reduced fee basis to try and allow students the opportunity to study while not needing to pay the sort of very large non-resident fees that the University of California is a bit famous for. And then, of course, we take really good care of the students while they're here. One of the things that we like to say is that when we're working with the visiting students, our staff, my program staff, their job is to help those students feel like a UC Davis students. Sometimes this takes a student 2 or 3 days, right? Maybe their family is originally from the US, or they've studied here before, they have some connection, they show up and they look around and think, oh, this is great, and they just go off and live a wonderful life. This is great, wonderful for those students, and we don't see them too much. But very often we find that students need more support, right? This may be their first time away from home, their first time out of Indonesia or their home country, their first time dealing with different religious traditions, language traditions. So we have a staff that really works to take care of them, to enable them to experience and enjoy that lifestyle. And this is something that we're very interested in expanding. I would say particularly with Indonesia, the students in the ISMA program this year, they provided a really good reputation for Indonesian students in general. And so that means that right now our faculty, our administrators are very keen to continue to work with Indonesian universities to host their students here. So this is one very common type of collaboration that we do. Another one that is always very popular, and I should just talk about right away, is this dual degree or double degree, credential. And the unfortunate news is that currently at the University of California, these degree offerings are regulated not by us at the local campus level, but they're regulated more broadly at the system-wide or University of California Office of the President level. And this means that no matter how much I may want to create a dual degree with another institution, is far outside of our power. And in fact, the University of California has yet to approve a dual degree program. So this is an unfortunate reality. Every few years it gets revisited, but it's not something we're able to do yet. Apart from visiting student programs to really study, visiting student programs tend to be long-term, right? Anywhere from a semester to a full academic year. We do offer a large number of short courses. These are programs that might be anywhere from 2, 3, 4 weeks in duration that typically are non-credit. So when we offer a non-credit shorter program, they tend to be reduced in costs. They're not quite as pricey for students, and they also tend to be really focused. So I'm thinking about a program that we often run with agricultural universities who are focused on saying, we really want some of our students to go to UC Davis, to have a chance to meet faculty, hear some really good lectures, visit some agricultural sites, and then come home so that they don't miss too much of their schooling here, or to squeeze that kind of a program into a vacation, summer break, something like this. We run a large number of those. We're always interested in working with institutions on these. And we're working actually, and this may be of interest, UC Davis has developed a Center for Coffee Science, and it's the largest center of that sort in the United States. I was just there actually on Monday roasting my own coffee. So I was it's on my mind. I work very closely with the faculty there, and they're just delightful people. Of course, given the importance of coffee in Indonesia and the deliciousness of Indonesian coffee, anytime I talk to them about working with institutions in Indonesia, they come to me and say, Jake, please, we'd love more students. We'd love to work with them on short courses, on educational partnerships, whatever we can do together. So in this particular subject area, I know that there's major demand to partner together, either for training here or for student mobility, PhD mobility, anything really like that. One of the things that we developed, I'll mention it and we'll kind of briefly, but I think is important to note, during the pandemic, so many countries completely stopped travel, right? That we recognized that there were basically an entire generation of young people who had hoped to study abroad that would not have that opportunity. that had planned to, and yet because of these travel restrictions really couldn't. And so what we did is work with different partner institutions to set up online courses for those students that would allow a class of students to stay fully enrolled at their home university. So they could be fully enrolled at IPB, and then once a week, twice a week, for an hour, 2 hours at a time, come in and take a class from UC Davis. These classes were usually put together in a very customized way to say to a university, okay, what do you want? What type of student do you want us to educate? What are you interested in? And what we found were a large number of universities interested in maybe working with some of their top students and then sponsoring those students to go to a class where they could meet UC Davis faculty in a format just like this one. And the faculty would present on their research work, would talk about the really cool things that they're doing in the lab, and then maybe give some advice about how to get into graduate programs in the US, how to get into graduate school at UC Davis. And then the students will go back and take their regular classes. And it was an opportunity for us to do this. And it's something we're continuing even now that mobility has returned. We're continuing a large number of these because we know there are so many more students who want an international experience than who may be in a position to afford it due to time or finances, things like that. So this is something we'd be very interested in working with you in. The international consortium model, I think joining different Indonesian universities together, this one I'm actually gonna save till later because I want to know a little bit more about your interest in this so that I can kind of compare it to what we do already to see how that might be utilized or not. So I'm gonna, we'd say punt, I'm gonna punt on that one until a little bit later on, but I should talk about the joint research or kind of PhD study. What I found here and what we're very interested in, we continue to be very interested in hosting faculty who want to do a sabbatical from their institution here at UC Davis. This is a very relatively easy to set up. We're very glad to welcome faculty here. When we're thinking about joint research, what I have found, just in general, if you're thinking, how do we strengthen collaboration at a research level between your institution and UC Davis? The faculty are the drivers of their own research work. So on my side, in the administrative side, I might come to them and try to say, oh, you should do research with this institution. And they will say, well, I'm very busy, go back to administration, leave me alone. And kind of, this is the faculty approach. What we found to be much more successful is exposing our faculty to really excellent students or to excellent faculty by those faculty coming and doing sabbaticals here, or by students who are really top coming to UC Davis for PhD type programs, and then drawing our faculty back into research with faculty from their home universities. This is very common. That's the way that it's going to work here. It's probably the way it's going to work at most institutions. We have to build that kind of personal connection between Indonesian students and faculty and our faculty to really see those projects take off and multiply. The interest is there on the administrative side, but to make this happen, of course, we just need the support of the actual faculty themselves. So I thought I just have one last slide that I'll share, which is really as you're thinking about from the perspective of your institutions, imagining, okay, I'd like to partner with UC Davis or with another American institution or another institution in general to partner on an international initiative or project. There are certain questions that are just always helpful to dialogue about at the beginning, right? And so what do I think we should start thinking about when we're kind of trying to figure out what are we going to do next? Well, we're fundamentally educators. And so the first thing we should start with is the learning objective or learning outcome that we're after in any kind of collaboration. So if we're thinking particularly about sending students to study here or sending students to do joint research, like what do we want to teach and why do we want to teach it? What is it that we think is important about that education that will make a difference to that student? And that enables us to figure out how to do it well. in the ISMA program, as an example, one of the things that was very clear was that the purpose was not solely technical education. The purpose instead was focused much more broadly on helping students to think globally, to think in an interdisciplinary way, and to become creative in sort of problem-solving approaches. And by knowing that, that enabled us at UC Davis to design a program that would further a student's ability to grow in those skills. So we want to just think about that. What are you interested in, and why? The next thing, of course, that we have to think about, is funding. What sources of funding are available, and what requirements might go along with those different funding sources? Are they coming from scholarship funding? Is it government source? Is it private funding? Because the funding source, of course, plays a large role in the actual program that you're able to deliver, right? So we want to think about that. We want to think about our own institutional objectives. I think often about, UC Davis, and how does a partnership that I might want to develop really advance the university's goals? How does it really strengthen what I know we are going after? You'll want to think the same. And I'll give an example of my thought process here, connected to working with you guys, and why this program has been so interesting for us. We really want our students, our domestic and our degree-seeking students, to experience a very broad variety of cultural diversity. We want them to get to know and interact with as many different types of people as possible, recognizing that for them to be successful in the world that they're going to be moving into, they need to have the ability to build friendships and collaborate in teams with people who are very different than them. So for me, when I'm looking and thinking about who do we want to partner with, one of the first questions I ask is, do we already have partners there? Do I already have plenty of partners? So not to pick on my colleagues a bit north of you in China, right? But we have a lot of partners in China. We have a lot of research collaboration in China. So I have to be very particular if I'm thinking about bringing in lots of undergraduate students from China. They're well represented, but I could go the other side of the globe. I work very closely with universities in Germany. And I do this because we don't have very many German students on our campus. Many of our students who live here in California, they're actually not really exposed to Europeans very much. And so I want that. Similarly, when this opportunity came up with Indonesia, it was so easy for us to say, yes, we want our students to get to know Indonesians. This is one of the largest, most important countries that is completely unknown in the United States. So we know that's a problem. How do we fix that? So we want to think about these objectives, of course. And then finally, we have to consider the students themselves, right? I mean, I feel like every day we come up with really good ideas, and then our students say, oh, that's not a good idea. So we have to think about their demand. What are they interested in? And take that into consideration as well. And by sort of thinking through these different questions and approaching things from these different angles, I think that's how we develop the kind of partnerships that lead to the outcomes that we really want. And so, I think just sort of close by saying that, on our side at UC Davis, we're very interested in expanding our collaborations in any different way, of course, with IPB and with Indonesian universities in general. And we are eager to learn from you what you're interested in, and to kind of talk through these questions together so that we can build good programs, so that we can well educate students, because a well-educated student leads a much better world, and that's what we're all after. So with that, I'll stop sharing and just say thank you for your time during this presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Jake, for the broad introduction to UC Davis and its international programs. I am sure that we are all very tempted to know more about these opportunities, but I think before we move on to the discussion session, I would like to invite all of the attendees to turn on their camera so we could virtually take some pictures together, if you please. Okay, I think we have 4 slides of participants. Our committee will take a screenshot from the first slide. So put on your best smile. On my mark, 1, 2, 3. Okay, moving on to the next slide. 1, 2, 3. Next slide. 1, 2, 3. And the last slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone. So now we are moving on to the discussion session. So I would like to invite all of the attendees. If you have any questions or anything to discuss, you can raise your hand via the Zoom app. And I'll invite you to turn on your microphone to ask the question directly to Pak Jake. Or you could also leave your question in the chat box. So does anyone want to ask a question?
Bapak Ibu, please, whenever there is questions, so Pak Jack is still here. So very eager to knows the questions coming from Indonesian university.
Maybe we can start the discussion from Pak Dase.
Yes, perhaps I would like also to Bu Ida. I think Bu Ida has already wants to ask something.
Oh, yeah.
Please, Bu Ida, for me, because I can discuss later.
Thank you, Pak Dase. Hi, Jake. Nice meeting you again here. So, Jake, I was wondering about your proposed potential collaborations in number 1, the ISMA-like program, because you mentioned earlier that it's only for partner universities of UC Davis. So, from 98 home universities in ISMA network from Indonesia, I believe that not all of us have, signed a formal agreement with UC Davis. So could you please, give us any advice on that, how to proceed with being the, your partners in the future?
Yeah,
probably.
absolutely. Great question. So, fortunately, right now, establishing the partnership process is relatively straightforward, though a little bureaucratic and takes some time. So once we've identified, for example, say that we were to talk and decide that we wanted to build a visiting student program, and we need to partner together to do that, then the process on my end would be taking a proposal that would explain why the partnership between UC Davis, your institution, meets your goals, why it meets our goals. We would take that up to our university chancellor's office and explain this is what we want to do. They would say yay or nay to the partnership. Almost always now they say yes, so it's not too risky. They would say okay, and then we would go through the paperwork process together. That shouldn't be too complicated, although I will say that our tendency is to partner with universities where either we are peers, so we have similar strengths, or where it's very obvious that the partnership with UC Davis helps and strengthens the partner institution. So I think that that's usually what we're looking for in our partners. The actual paperwork is pretty simple.
Thank you, Jake. Another follow-up question on based on your answer. So would you personally give recommendation on the ISMA partners that you have in 2021 if they send you proposal for establishing partnership?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
100%.
Thank you very much, Jake. That's all, Pak Dase. Thank you, Pak.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you, Jack. Because sometimes, for example, when we have the MOU, we don't have anything. For example, only the signing is nothing because it's only an engagement without filling the MOU. So it's not only the number to increase the number of MOU, but how to fill in step by step. Perhaps that's one of the most important thing. And there are, I think, there are quite many persons. Which one who goes first, Banada? From ONS first?
Parino, I think.
Okay, I think, yeah, I agree. Parino first. Please, this is my old friend, Parino, please.
Okay, Pak Dase, thank you for the time. Yes, we are old friends, and this is the very first time we met on Zoom, Pak Dase, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, hello, Jake. Nice to meet you. I'm Rino Nugroho. I'm the head of the national office from Universitas 11 Maret. So we are one of the top-ranked universities in Indonesia as well. I'm interested. I will ask a follow-up from Bu Ida previously. A question about you mentioned that you offer something like ISMA-like program, and we have that kind of program here. We call it Global Challenge, and the Global Challenge is programs that has been rolled by Universitas 11 Maret for more than 5 years, and we already sent our students in more of all over part of the world, almost 22 countries with different universities in 5 continents. So but in this time of pandemic, I think we will try to change the model of the Global Challenge. We try to put it online course. So by saying that, I'm thinking of having a partnership with the UC Davis in terms of having the online course doing in UC Davis, and maybe in short period of time. And when the pandemic ends, and we can send our student to your university as well. So I think that's something that I can offer, and I hope that I can send a proposal to you. I haven't sent our students there in last year, but we sent 22 of our students overseas in Europe and as well in Asia. So I just want to hear your comments about that. So I propose about the student inbound mobility student from our side. So we do the outbound student to universities in online form in this year. For next year, we can grow our partnership.
I mean, first,
that's it.
You should feel very proud. I mean, this is quite an achievement to be sending that many students to this many different countries. So for that long, I'm impressed with what you're doing, and we'd be delighted to work together to have UC Davis be a partner for online education or through in-person mobility when that returns. For the online partnerships, we have tried 2 different real models. One is a model where we allow students to take any course that's currently available remotely to just do that while they're staying. To be honest, in my experience, this model is not so good. Students in general find it unfocused. It feels confusing. The workload of the remote class is usually very difficult, and they're still trying to be a full-time student at their home university. We have found this seminar style, which is a smaller course focused in a particular discipline, to be much more interesting to students, much more well received by our own faculty. And that's the model that I would think about. So to do that kind of a course, what we would do is we'd want to work together to say, okay, what could we teach in a concise way that would be of interest to enough of your students that we could form a class? Usually you need between 20 and 30, maybe up to 50 students, but let's say 20 to 50 to be broad, students to participate in one of these. And we want to know, okay, well, what discipline and what area of focus? And I'll pick on my friends who do the coffee center here just as an example, okay? So for us, we teach coffee through chemical engineering, looking at not as much right now the agricultural processes, but the engineering processes behind the roasting and brewing. So we could say, okay, let's look at your university. Could we pull together 20 engineers and get them once a week, twice a week together to meet some of our faculty to talk about engineering and coffee, engineering in different disciplines, to interact just like this? For us, we keep these online programs live in person. So this means our faculty are teaching at night. Usually you'd be a bit, in the morning. We're happy to do this because the interaction is critical. And we like to pair a disciplinary focus. So let's say chemical engineering with some kind of a skill building focus. This could be engineering plus how to get into graduate school, engineering plus what does it mean to do research in the US, engineering plus English language, who knows? But we combine the two And then usually 2 hours total a week, we get together, we teach the course. And this we found our faculty really like, because your students seem engaged, right? They seem interested and they want to participate, so they like that. And our partners really like, because it's a way for them in a relatively cheap way to expose their students to some really cool faculty doing very interesting work that broadens the mind of the student to think beyond, oh, I could be an engineer, and if I'm a chemical engineer, that means I have to be in petroleum. No, that's not the case, right? Not really. So we try to get them to think more broadly, and that's working. So that's a model we've done now 6 to 8 times, different areas of focus with different universities, working really well. And that's one that I would think, we should do together. And if we can't find something to do together, maybe that's one you could do with another institution, because it just, for the students, it works.
Okay, then I will send you an email proposal outside,
Great.
and then we'll see where from there. Thank you.
Wonderful,
Jake.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dase.
Pak Rino. There are also a number of attendees. So I think Pak Hugeng from Tarumanagara. After that, Pak Roni, yeah?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Dase, for the opportunity. Hi, Jack. I am from the Universitas Tarumanagara, this private university from Jakarta. Yeah, we are also interested in the short courses and also online courses, as you explained before, that it must be particular topics for the online courses, you mean. And also, my short question is that that means that I have to make a proposal to make the online courses, or for example, you have the event and you invite us, or and also okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we are only offering the online courses in a customized way with a partner. And so we'd be looking to you to say, okay, Jake, I think we'd be interested in, a couple disciplines is okay. So you could say, we'd be interested if the subject area was, let's say, agriculture. We'd be interested if it's supply economics. We'd be interested if it's medicine or medical related things. Okay, and then what we would do is I'd go out to my faculty and see, okay, is anyone interested in this model? How would this work? And we'd then identify which of these disciplines is most likely, and then we'd work it out together.
Okay, and second question, yeah, we have our awardee to the UC Davis. It's from the, do you know maybe Erlin this last semester?
Yeah.
It's from Erlin. It's from our university.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's great.
And
wow.
next year we send. Okay, we will send also to UC Davis. And one last question, maybe we have the MOU with UCLA. Is this different from the UC Davis?
It is. It'll be a different agreement.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much, Jake, for your time.
Great to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Dase. Dankeschön.
Pak Hugeng. Pak Roni, please, Pak Roni.
Yeah, thank you. Very good morning. Thank you, Jack. Enjoy your presentation. Thank you so much. So informative. Thank you, Pak Dase, for organizing very nice meeting this morning. Bright my day today. Thank you, Pak Dase. Jack, to the point, I come from Universitas Padjadjaran, Bandung, one of the largest universities in West Java. So we have a lot of program and student. First, we request a specific meeting. Later on, we request your contact. We want to make an MOU. That's the first thing. Second, we also develop a program, ISMA program. We want to talk in that specific meeting about the number that we can send and then specific regulation or facilitation that you can give to our student. That's the second thing. And the third thing, we are developing a long community program engagement. We have that program with NUS and initiate with MIT in United States in Boston. So we want to have a long sustainable development engagement community program. In these cases, we have a Citarum program and preservation for Geopark UNESCO site. Thus, we expected some of your students can come over to our university and engage with that long and targeted program, definitely we can come into the details in the separate meeting. So that's 3 requests. I just want to hear the response from you. Thank you so much. Very nice to meeting you, Jack.
Okay.
Thank you.
You too, pleasure. And I have to say, I've been to the site where this photo behind you was taken. So you're bringing back very good memories for me, okay? Not so long ago, I was hiking there with my wife.
Pretty common with I'm sorry. This is my bucket list, but I don't have my chance yet to visit directly. So I will go there with Padase one day.
you must. I mean, when you come to visit Davis, then we'll go together. Okay, so
yeah, thank you.
It's a lovely place. Okay, so for all three, yes, I mean we're interested in working together. The only one that I think I want to comment on a little bit, because some others may be interested too, is what it takes to motivate and move our students abroad. And to develop a relationship where our students would also be going over to your universities. I worked maybe 5 years in the outbound side, sending Davis students overseas, and I'm very happy to be working on the side I am now, because I think that motivating Americans in general to study abroad is very difficult. Motivating, our own students among the UCs. Davis has one of the lower rates of study abroad of our sister campuses. So it's very difficult to do. It's not impossible. And I think that you're onto a model that's probably the best, because what we find, students will go for project-based learning that they can't get here, and they'll particularly go for impactful learning.
Exactly.
So our internship numbers are going up, our traditional study numbers going down. So I think the model that you're proposing is probably the best to propose. But I just will say, this is going to be a little bit of a hard road. It's like the hike up to the hill that your picture is from. It's a long road, but worth it if we can make it happen, okay?
Yeah, I know, Jack. No pain, no gain. I understand. We need to have a rocky road to get a better result.
That's right.
At the end. So this is what we did with NUS, and then we have a long program in the south west of Java Island, and we do something preservation and improve the community level on that area. And then we have a long program for that one. We can give support for your student, and we can give a lot of other facilities. But again, I will discuss later specifically in the other specific meeting. But again, nice open information for us. Very nice to meeting you this morning. Thank you, Jack.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Roni. Yes, Pajajaran is very aggressive in sending students. Even our student IPB got 2 scholarships to join the UNESCO summer course in Pajajaran. Thank you, Pak Roni. So that's why perhaps we can collaborate together also with UC Davis.
Definitely. Correct. Since Jack also mentioned about the international collaboration approach, that we have been taught that, example, your student come over, we can make some mapping and then stay over in Padase University in IPB and come over to UNPAD, and we can make one single shot for 6 months and get all the experience.
And get it all done. Oh, that's really smart. Yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah.
More questions?
I think earlier Pak Adre from Atmajaya.
Pak Adre, yes, Pak Adre from Tarumanagara, who has already sent us also the information. Pak Adre, please. From Atmajaya. I'm sorry, from Atmajaya. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Padase. Good evening, I guess, for you, Jake. My name is Adre. I'm from Atmajaya Catholic University of Indonesia. So we're located in Jakarta, and we dare say that we are one of the top private university in Indonesia. And in terms of the collaborations that we would like to engage with UC Davis, right now we are still looking at the online models of collaborations. You mentioned before that your students are now looking more into the project-based learning. What kind of project-based learning would be interesting, and would it be possible to do it on an online basis? We've been engaging several universities in terms of online project-based learning collaborations. And I think it will be interesting if we can do it with UC Davis as well. That's one. And the second one is we are also opening up possibilities for international students to do internship in Indonesia. What kind of internship would be interesting for your students, and how would we be able to engage you in terms of that kind of collaboration? Thank you very much, Jake.
Okay, you're asking me kind of difficult questions because I'm having to think back to our outbound side. Okay, Andre, so forgive me here if I don't give you the most helpful answer, but I'll do my best. So for the first question here, related to project-based learning online, all that I can say is that I know that my colleagues in our study abroad office have been growing and expanding their online collaborations to enable our students to sort of remotely study abroad. My impression from conversation with them is that students are not quite so interested in this, that overall interest is pretty low, but a little bit there. Okay, but it seems to be that our students still wait for in-person mobility and really push for that if possible. So I just haven't heard too much, that's really relevant. Now the second one about the project-based learning and what seems interesting, like for them when they can move to do, what I found, and this fits with UC Davis. I mean, UC Davis is one of the top-ranked institutions in California for social mobility. And what does that mean? This means that we're talking about a university dedicated to taking students from among the sort of lower classes of California who are very bright, very, very capable, but not very, coming from wealthy families, and to enabling those students to have a world-class education so that they are capable of participating fully at the highest levels intellectually and then in the research enterprise and then also out in the workforce. And we do that very well. So what I find that means for our students is when they want to work on projects that they feel like they know will make people's lives better. So we see, for example, regionally, one of our largest internship programs where most of our students are going to go work as an intern. They're going to go into, if they're in veterinary sciences, they're going next door to Sacramento. They're doing clinics, working in a kind of poor area of that city to give free veterinary care to others. If they're in law, then they're working with undocumented immigrants to the United States who don't have access to good legal care, and they're providing that for free. So they're really interested in these sort of human-focused, people-focused things. And I think you'll see that the more of those that you build, the more attractive your programs are going to be to Americans in general, but particularly to students from Davis.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Please, Bu Arianti or Pak Arya? Bu Arianti, yeah, I think from University of Pertamina.
Thank you, Pak Dase. Yeah, hi Jack. I think good evening there. I'm Arianti from University of Pertamina. I'm not sure if, let's say, you have heard about Pertamina.
No, I can't say that I have, no.
Okay, Pertamina is basically a largest state-owned oil gas company in our country. Yeah, and in addition to a student mobility program, when we talk about collaboration proposal, I'm wondering if, let's say, we can work as well in a double degree program.
Yeah, great question. Initially, unfortunately, right now, double degree, dual degree programs are not authorized, actually not by UC Davis, but by the larger University of California system. So none of the University of Californias are offering dual degrees or double degrees at this time. But since you mentioned your university's focus, I should say that our School of Law actually has extensive programs and collaborations with several different leading global oil and petroleum and natural gas companies to provide legal training to their lawyers, but then also to students from associated universities. So it's usually I don't bring up law because it's a very complicated field. Then often they do their own thing, but they always are saying that they're interested in working with universities in that particular field to do legal training associated to oil and natural gas issues. Just thought I should mention.
Yeah, okay. Probably later, I will contact you later on.
Great,
Jake.
wonderful.
Related to double degree or dual degree, Jake, so it means that a little bit difficult to have the dual degree because of, for example, it has to be from University California system to approve that one.
And yes, and I'll be very, honest now, just for the sake of the long friendship between our institutions. The likelihood of a dual degree being approved by the University of California system within the next 5 years is 0. Within the next 10 years, maybe moves up to 10%.
Yes.
It is just not something that is of interest at the highest levels of academic leadership at the University of California system. So it's really unlikely. And that's unfortunate because I think that there's a lot to be gained by dual degrees. Many institutions in the US and elsewhere use them very successfully to provide opportunity for their students, but the University of California is simply not proving good ground for this.
Maybe know what the reasons behind that. I mean, the basic reason why it wouldn't be over a dual degree.
Yeah, I mean, the basic reason in my, I know this is live, so I should be careful. The universities are often concerned about, they're concerned to ensure that the value of their degree remains consistent. And so there's great concern when you partner in a degree that, one university that the universities are equal in order to ensure that the value of the degree is seen as equal, right?
Thank you for your answer. So it means that it is not that easy for the later, for the future of 5 years later. Bu Harun, please.
Okay,
there are
thank you,
questions.
Dase. Yeah, good afternoon. No, not good afternoon. Good evening, Jake. Sorry.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm Harum. I'm from Department of Food Science and Technology, IPB University. So actually, I'm from the same department with Pak Dase. My question is actually like a follow-up questions regarding ISMA like exchange program. I learned from your previous answers that UC Davis is practically open for like ISMA like exchange program, but not so much for dual degree, right? Okay. So here in our department, we actually have international class for our bachelor degree in food technology. And however, due to the pandemic, this past 1-2 years, the international exposure to our students is actually very limited. Yeah, some students join online exchange program to other universities, but we all know that the experience is different. Yeah. So my question is it possible, or is UC Davis open to if our international students from international class doing exchange program at UC Davis for maybe 1 or 2 semesters, not only taking classes over there, but also doing research project, like final year project that is co-supervised by the faculty member at IPB University and also UC Davis. That's my first question. And then my second question is regarding the funding. So as we know that ISMA has very limited quota, maybe many students that want to do exchange program to UC Davis have to fund their own program. I wonder if UC Davis or US department have this kind of scholarship or aid or maybe policy for tuition waive or something like that that can be explored by our students. That's my question. Thank you.
Well, thank you. These are very good questions. So I'm going to answer your second question first to give me a little bit more time to think about your first question. Okay. So the second question is yes and no. So one of the reasons that we only work with partner institutions to receive in students is that we provide the sort of lowest possible tuition to visiting international students that we can. Now, when I say lowest possible, this means that students will pay more than Californians will pay, but they will pay far, far less than the typical international student pays. And so as part of this arrangement, the university itself limits the overall number of students that we can bring in because it recognizes that it is providing a kind of financial incentive, right? Now, what does that mean in real dollar terms? You mean per year, probably $21,000 to $23,000 for tuition and fees. This is what makes me kind of embarrassed now, is for us a good deal. That regular international student who's studying to get a degree, they would pay basically twice that, about $45,000 for tuition and fees. So it is overall a good deal, but still quite expensive. So now let me move back to your first question about particularly in food science technology, can we do, semester to 2 semester long and include a research project? Yes, but we're going to have to confirm with the faculty. And so this remains true anytime that we're talking about utilization of intensive amounts of faculty time. Here, and I'm sure it's the same for you, our faculty are in charge. So, the administration, we can come and we can say, oh, we're going to do this new program. And then they can say back to us, well, then you can teach, right? So they have quite a bit of power here. And so that means that we just check with them. Now, food science technology, I meet with them regularly. It's a very open department, really interested in international collaboration. I'm sure that they'd be interested in working together. What we'd want to do is just set up some meetings to figure out, okay, exactly what kind of a time commitment would they be looking into if they were going to be involved in joint supervision? What does that look like? And can they commit to that? And if they can, then from our perspective, yes. I mean, my office is eager to do that, but that's because we're not the ones who are doing the actual supervision, right? So we'll check that and let's have follow-up. I can draw in some colleagues from food science technology. We can talk about what that would look like for them. And then, if they say, yes, we have capacity, then yes, we have capacity and we absolutely make it happen, but up to the faculty.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer, Jake. Maybe we can discuss that later on. I propose this because actually we have this kind of collaboration, long-run collaboration with several universities in Asia. So I'm wondering whether this kind of collaboration can work as well with UC Davis.
So what I have seen, and I'll just, the expectation for I'm going to be very limited in my answer. I've worked with a few universities very closely in China, not in food science. I'm thinking about students that I work with in electrical engineering, but also in chemical engineering, okay? And the expectation of the supervisor to the student they're supervising is actually pretty low. They don't have to put in that much time. They don't have to do that much, and they don't feel bad if they don't do a good job. On our side, what I've seen is major faculty investment in the student, real desire to make sure that the student gets the best experience possible. And so they tend to be actually kind of hesitant about taking on a new student because they recognize that they want to just provide the best. And if they can't provide this real high service, then they would rather not provide any service at all. That's been my experience when it comes to this kind of joint supervision, that they're just really hesitant because they think, I'm going to know this student for only 3 months, 6 months. It's not long enough for me to really help them. And then what are they going to do? And am I going to help them? And they just feel that it's a different expectation of what that looks like. That's what I've seen. But again, let's talk to the faculty.
Thank you very much, Jake. Back to Pak Dase. Thank you, Pak Dase.
Thank you, Bu Harum. So it means we will need the next meeting, yeah, Pak Zek,
Yes,
with IPB.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
one last question, perhaps, because of the
Please.
time, perhaps Pak Jack also has prepare also to go sleep, yeah, because it's already long over hours, yeah, Pak Jack, over
Oh,
work.
it's okay. It's okay.
Pak
So,
Irfan,
thank you.
please,
Yes.
from
Thank you.
ITES.
Yes, thank you, Pak Dase. Hi, Jake. I'm Irfan from ITS, Institute of Technology 10 November, Surabaya. I'm very interested in the way you present the idea of the possibility of online courses in a specific topic, seminar style. And what we have in ITS is we also have something similar to that. One example is on SDGs, UN SDGs, an online course, and we're going to run that in March, May, and June. So my question is, what's your opinion or insight on the interest of UC Davis faculty members to be a guest speaker in a program, not from UC Davis, but from another university? So for example, if we try to invite lecturers from your university, what do you think the responsibility, or how should we approach them? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's such a good question. I have found right now that our faculty are very tired. The constant switch from in-person instruction to remote instruction, the reality of the United States response to COVID, the fact that many of our faculty are parents and our childcare system is under intense stress. This is a very hard time for our faculty. And so I try to be very positive. This is part of my job, yeah, but I also try to be very honest. And so I say that, you know, right now, faculty, when I approach them about sort of doing a little bit of extra, it really depends. I don't get the same response today that I received 3 years ago. Okay. Now that said, people tend to do things for their friends. People tend to do things that they feel like will be impactful. So if there's a belief that, you know, doing a guest lecture will be impactful, will really help broaden some students' horizons, that's very easy for us to motivate our faculty to do that. If they know someone, so for example, if there was a researcher at your institution who knows faculty at our institution, then this kind of friendship connection is going to be really easy to draw on. Right now, I'm not finding our faculty very financially motivated. So it's not, sometimes, you know, feels like if you throw a little bit more money at the problem, you'll solve the problem. But this is not the case right now. I think because so much of the problem is a kind of burnout or emotional tiredness that, you know, having an extra $100 doesn't matter really. So I think kind of honestly what I do, if you're interested, I mean, send me a little information about what you're doing and where you think it would be most helpful to have a guest, you know, faculty member, and then I'll look. And I really mean this. I think you know you should all know this. The students that you had on our campus this past year, they made such a positive impression that we all feel a little bit in debt to ISMA and Indonesia in general. This has been, for study abroad, a very hard year, right? It's been very hard season. And so when we had this group of 17 students who just were so good, it really was good for my staff. So I'll try to help. Okay, so I feel, even though I don't know you, I feel some debt towards you just because of the wonderful work that these students did. So send me information about what you're looking for, or what particular fields you think would be helpful to have someone. If I know, you know, one of my colleagues in the faculty is teaching in this area or researching in this area, then I'll reach out to them and I'll try and see if we can facilitate something that could be beneficial for your students. I'd be very glad to do that.
Right. Thank you very much, Jay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Pak Jack, but I think it's the time to close the discussion.
Indeed.
Unless you cannot sleep, Pak Jack. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, we are very grateful and thank you to Pak Jack for have the meeting and discuss about the future collaborations with our Indonesian university Although within my sides also very disappointed that because of cannot do the dual degree. This is our target actually for making dual degree with UC Davis, but unfortunately at the moment cannot because of us mentions there are some agriculture is #1 in UC Davis, and it was always my dream to visit UC Davis, of course, and perhaps later my students, if it's not me, perhaps my students will visit. And now have to send the best students from IPB to reach UC Davis. Yeah, although Professor Hani has already visited there UC Davis, but perhaps the students who get the experience in UC Davis. So it is also to tell to the ISMA committee that although we take the UC Davis to get in late previously we discussed with Nathan, approach Nathan to apply to ISMA, UC Davis that applying ISMA to Dikti, but unfortunately IPB cannot get any place order the student. It is a little bit complaining from IPB why IPB take in UC Davis to ISMA but kick out from ISMA. So we should give the best students because Pajajaran and the other university always push that much, very aggressive to gain the students. Perhaps IPB should do more to reach the ISMA. I'm sorry, ISMA is not taking it here because we are taking only on partnership. Yeah, but I'm sorry for complaining about that one because our target, our missions also later this year have to be the students from IPB has to be sent to University of California, Davis. So be ready for that. Okay. For the students.
Very good.
And thank you very much, Jack, and all over the representative university from all Indonesia. And perhaps hope later there will be another new MOU signs between UC Davis and the university partner in Indonesia. Back to Mbak Nada.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Dase, for moderating such an engaging discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, now that we are at the end of our agenda, I would like to thank once again Mr. Jacob Hosier for sparing your evening today to give us such valuable information. I sincerely hope this meeting could be a kickstart to lots of potential collaborations between Indonesian universities and UC Davis. So, once again, thank you very much, everyone. Have a delightful day.
Thank you very much, Pak Jake. Thank you, Pak Dase.
Terima kasih, Bapak Ibu.
Thank you,
Terima kasih, Pak Ibu.
Jake, Pak Dase.
Pak Jack, thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Mohon izin Lip, Bapak Ibu.
Terima kasih, Bapak Ibu.
Selamat Pak Dase.
Selamat Pak Dase.
Terima kasih, Mbak Ida.
Tidak semenakutkan yang dibahas semalam ya, Pak Dase.
Iya, saya sudah takut aja semalam.
Selamat Pak Dase, terima kasih banyak Pak Dase.
Alhamdulillah ya, nambah nanti MOU-nya dengan teman-teman yang lainnya.
Amin, amin, amin.
Amin.
Pak, nanti kalau mau proposal gimana? Langsung diantar kemana ya?
Ada emailnya.
Ada email.
Langsung ke Jack aja ya?
Iya, saya sudah kirim emailnya lagi. Ya, Bu. Silahkan. Baik kok, Pak Jack.
Oh iya, langsung aja ya, nggak melalui ISMA atau kantor lagi ya, langsung ya.
Ntar kalau ke saya dulu nanti panjang ke Ciampea dulu nanti repot.
Iya, ya makasih banyak ya Pak.
Siap, oke. Saya udah izin kok untuk menampilkan email. Terima kasih Mbak Ida.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Mbak Ida ternyata benar saya nggak di grup ya.
Ya gimana sih Pak Dase?
Iya nggak apa-apa, saya nggak usah di grup, Mbak Ida pusing nanti kebanyakan. Biarkan Bu Sinto aja yang di grup.
Oh iya udah.
Iya.
Ya udah, makasih Pak Dase.
Malum kita sudah offline nih di IPB, jadi udah minggu pertama dan memang lagi padat-padatnya mungkin.
Oke, ya.
Jangan lupa attendance ininya ya, attendance listnya biar nanti saya upload. Ada yang sudah mengupload dari Tarumanegara, saya sudah forwardkan juga ke Pak Jack. Ada diskusi lagi setelah ini Mbak Ida nggak ada ya?
Nggak ada. Cuma mungkin
nggak ada.
untuk attendance list bagi perguruan tinggi yang belum punya proposal ke UC Davis hanya sekedar pengen lihat, nggak apa-apa sih Pak, nggak harus di-upload proposalnya.
Oke. Nanti tetap di open ya.
Ya, oke.
Ini Pak Roni nih paling keren nih, ISMA-nya nih. Wih, gila, paling banyak nih Pak jajaran nih. Kita jealous banget nih. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu.
Pak Dase, thank you banget ya. Keren habis, thank you. Thank you banget teman-teman IPB, hatur nuhun sekali mengundang kami. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Kang Roni. Salam Kang Kasno-nya.
Siap.
Itu ngajak-ajak itu Kak Geopark. Orang Sukabumi kita acan pernah gitu Kak Geopark.
Pada sini YouTube-nya masih live, Pak.
Iya, ya. Ya Allah ya Rabbi.